Hey guys, I am so excited to show you guys this deck. It's awesome. I have had so much fun building this. I've actually had this deck built for since like 2012 or something, but I put it away for a long time. I just picked it up uh, last week and started tinkering with it again. Made a couple changes, but I was surprised at how solid it was and how it kind of stood the test of time. Essentially, this is a beast deck. Now, I don't know, I don't know if you guys grew up in the 90s like me or the 80s or something, but there was this show called Beast Wars. It was Transformers. I'm in Canada, so it was called Beasties. And this is what I hear whenever I'm thinking of this deck. Anyway, beasts, are they good? No. Can they be played? Yes. I have one card to show you guys. It's called Wirewood Savage right down here. Um, now, 3 mana 2/2. Whenever a beast enters the battlefield, you may draw a card. Now, replace beast with pretty much any other creature type, and this card would be banned. It would be too good. If this was like, instead of beast, it was elf, it yeah, it would not exist. Okay, but wizards know that beasts suck, so they printed this card, and that makes beasts that much better. So what are we playing? What's the game plan with beasts? How do we win? Well, there are no good one-drop beasts, really. I mean, the best one is Slippery Bogle, which, yeah, it's a beast. Not many people know that, but yeah, Slippery Bogle is a beast, and it's one of the probably the best beast out there. But for the purposes of our deck, it's not great. Essentially, it'll be a 1/1 with hexproof. Yeah, we can enchant with a couple things here, but it's not as broken as it is in other more hexproofs oriented decks. So here we're really going for kind of a mid-range, hard to disrupt plan here. So Wirewood Savage is a good part of that, but we've got a really nice package. Every time I'm building mid-range, this is pretty much my go-to package here, whether it's one color, two color, or whatever. Arbor Elf here untaps a forest, and with the Arbor Elf, if you play it on turn 1, you can follow it up with either a Utopia Sprawl or a Wild Growth. They essentially do the same thing in this deck. The Wild Growth, it makes it so that your forest adds an extra mana to your mana pool. So with the Arbor Elf, you get to untap that land and make an extra 2 mana. So you could have up to 4 mana on turn 2, which is insane. That's a lot of mana. It's important to note that Utopia Sprawl can't be enchanted onto non-forests. It says enchant forests, so that's kind of an important little detail. A lot of people forget that, and they try to enchant like their island or something. It's a really important little detail to remember. Oh, we've also got a couple Rancor to add some trample to our beasts, and a couple Garruk's Companion at the 2-drop slot. The only one from the 2-drop slot, probably the only good beast in the 2-drop slot. 3/2 trample for 2 green mana. Pretty sweet. Draws us a card with the Wirewood Savage. It's alright. I'm not such a huge fan of this card just because we often just skip right to 3 on turn 2. So hence why our 3-drop slots are much more packed here. So we often don't even really want to play this on turn 2. It's more of like a turn 3 or 4 card, just because we're just doing better things on turn 2. Nevertheless, it's still a very sweet card. We've got, I'm going to talk about the auras a little later. We've got Aura Gnarlid. Well, just because, well, actually, I might just talk about the Ancestral Mask now then. Because we're running 4 Utopia Sprawls, 4 Wild Growth, Aura Gnarlid just so happens to be a beast. And it gets +1/+1 whenever you play an Aura, so it fits really, really well in our deck. It's often coming out as a 4/4 or a 5/5, and it has some really sweet evasions. Creatures with power less than Aura Gnarlid's power can't block it. So really, really sweet card for this deck. Probably one of the reasons to play beasts, honestly. And then, just because we've got this aura theme going, I ended up adding a couple Ancestral Masks. Now, these cards were kind of like my flex slot in the previous version of the deck, and I wasn't sure quite what to run in here before I was running some other beasts, and it was okay. I mean, the selection is really limited, but it turns out that just having just 1 or 2 Ancestral Masks in the deck makes it so you can push that extra little bit of damage that you need in the late game if you get there. It's also a huge blowout if the opponent can't answer it. I mean, you can have Ancestral Mask on turn, 3 or 4, and you've got 2 Wild Growths or Utopia Sprawls already on the battlefield, or a Snake Umbra, which we'll talk about in a sec, and then all of a sudden you're looking at, an Aura Gnarlid that just got +4, +6, +6 off the Ancestral Mask, and that's usually enough to end the game very, very quickly if they don't answer it. We've got also Snake Umbra here, just to kind of give us some more card advantage. It also protects the creature with the totem armor, gives it +1/+1, and basically whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, you can draw a card. Oh, not even combat damage, this is just regular damage. No, that's important in this deck, but yeah, essentially, so we're kind of, going in on the Aura's theme here, kind of a mini hexproof, if you will, version of this. We've also got a singleton Pulse of Murasa, really nice at getting back, really nice for getting back some of our creatures and gaining us some life. Just a nice little trump card from time to time. You don't want to see it all the time, but it's great as a one of. I like it. Another thing that kind of pushes us to run a few auras is these Primal Huntbeasts. I was only running this as a 2 of, but bumped it up to a 4 of and kind of took the deck into that direction here. Really nice. Surprisingly strong at 4 mana for a 3/3. Hexproof is just that good. Primal Huntbeast, whip up an Ancestral Mask, a Rancor, and a Snake Umbra, and you've got just this beast of a creature that's really a beast of a creature, and it's just really, really hard to answer. So yeah, really, really nice card to have. To top it all off, we've got pretty much the best beast out there, Blastoderm. 4 mana, 5/5, Shroud. Wow. Can't be targeted. You got this huge beater. The only thing that would make it better is if it had hexproof, we could put a Rancor on it. That would be awesome. But the only downside this card has is that it has Fading 3. Fading means that whenever this creature enters the battlefield, it has 3 fade counters, and during your upkeep, you remove 1 from it. If you can't, you sacrifice it. So a lot of people get mixed up with this card. I actually won a game the other day because a guy kind of thought that he didn't have to block it because it would just die next turn anyways. And then this thing survives when you remove the last counter. It's not like Vanishing. Vanishing has when you remove the last counter from it, sacrifice it. Fading is not quite the same. It says when you can't remove a counter, you sacrifice. So that's kind of the important thing to note here. So basically you're getting for 4 mana a 5/5 Shroud that can attack 3 times. So very, very nice card. So overall, that's our deck. We're kind of, we can get to that Blastoderm on turn 2 if you want to with the Arbor Elves and Utopia Sprawls. If not, we're just going for the 3 mana, probably dropping a 3/3 Aura Gnarlid or a Wirewood Savage, following it up with some creatures. Yeah, the game plan's pretty simple. Beat face. I dropped down to 19 lands. I'm also really tempted to drop another forest here. Essentially, we got 16 forests and 3 Tranquil Thickets here. It kind of draw us a little bit more. So we got a nice little draw package here with Tranquil Thicket, Wirewood Savage, and Snake Umbra, kind of letting us get some gas for the mid to late game, should we get there. Let's move on to the sideboard. Sideboard's also kind of a work in progress here, but I'm feeling pretty nice about it. Let's start off with Vitality Charm. Read this. You get to, at instant speed, create a 1/1 insect creature token, or give a creature +1/+1 in trample, or regenerate a beast. So one of the rare decks that can actually use all 3 modes of this card. I'm kind of just testing it out. I'm not too optimistic about this card. It's kind of there just to try it out, just to see what it's like. Essentially, my reasoning is that we can bring it in against any control deck. It's an Edict Eater. If they cast an Edict effect, we can just make a 1/1 insect and sacrifice it. It allows us to have a combat trick, giving a creature trample, which is really important often. And it can also save a beast from a burn spell or a removal spell with the last ability here. Not all of our creatures are beasts, but the important ones are. We got 4 Moments Peace, 2 more Pulse of Murasa, A couple Thermokarsts, very nice. We got Fangren Marauder here. Yeah, it's a beast. 6 mana, 5/5, and just bringing it in against Affinity, against Tron. Really nice cards to have against them. 6 mana is not out of reach for us. We can get there pretty quickly, and basically makes it so a Tog Fling is just not a thing against us. Just basically, yeah, getting us tons of life. Serrated Arrows. Because we're going for that mid-range, we're going for that damage, we're going for the Serrated Arrows at 4 mana, gets rid of 3 things, very good against Delver and Fairies, very good against Stompy because it's -1/-1/-1 counters, so even if they pump their creature, it doesn't really save it for that turn. And yeah, that's it. And it gives us some more kind of card advantage. We get to deal with multiple creatures with this Serrated Arrows. So a really sweet card to have. So that's Beasts, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the games to come.